Hello guys, thank you for joining us again once on the Insight platform. Today I have my own uncle and auntie, Reverend and Mrs. Onuoha, and we're going to be talking on a very interesting topic, one I believe a lot of you out there will benefit from, and they're going to be sharing their long years of experience in this area of life and talk about certain challenges they have seen marriages face over the years and give us some good advice. So I'll allow them introduce themselves to you guys, and then we'll take it from there.
Thank you for inviting us. It's a beautiful thing to appear in your Insight program. I am Reverend Wilson Onuoha, the Director of International Leadership Resource Institute.
I'm Reverend Mrs. Sandra Onuoha.
Okay, so let's get this ball rolling. So let's start. Daddy, over the years, you guys have done marriage counseling, and of course, you've been married for how many years now?
This is 36 years.
36 years of marriage.
Yes.
Let's start with a simple question.
Yes.
How did you manage? In fact, let me take it one step backward. Why did you get married?
I married at the time I was serving as a chaplain in Nigerian Air Force. My marriage was purposeful. It was too clear to me that if I have to affect the people I'm pastoring, I have to get married, because certain people you cannot reach without being married. So I know that I will affect the society better and easily with marriage. And when you are talking about issues, you are talking from a rich background. You have been single, you are married, you know what obtains here, you know what obtains there. Just like when I'm discussing my faith, I know what it means not to be a Christian. And I know what it means now to be a Christian. Thank you.
Interesting. So, Mommy, so we know why Daddy got married. Over the years, what are the challenges you faced from the feminine parts of marriage? And how did you manage to overcome it that you survived 36 years? Is it that is perfect? You know, there is no imperfection, or how did you manage it?
Well, I want to say that marriage is a school where you don't graduate from. And it's a school where you learn every day. And as you move along and you meet with married people, you learn a lot of things. And also, before I got married, there was something that was in my mind. I told myself that I will make my marriage to work, irrespective of the challenges I will see in my marriage. So that is the first thing that I told myself, which I believe that is good for every person. That marriage is something you make to work. It's not that you say, it's not anything. It's something to work on. So you work on it. So let
me take you one step backward. You talked about you make it work, yeah?
Yes.
Which is basically marriage vows, which we say for better, for worse.
Yes.
Now, because it feels like in the days we live in today, we say those vows, we just recite it without actually understanding what it means. When the time comes for us to do the work, we bail out.
That's right.
Yes, and there are some, yes.
That's the truth.
There are some persons,
that's the truth.
When they are going into marriage, they will tell themselves that, well, I'm just going in there. If it works, I stay. If it does not work, I pack away. So you can see that mindset alone will make them that when they enter the marriage and begin to see some challenges, because marriage is not all just platter of gold, there are things that you will pass through and see. But if you have made up your mind that, this marriage, I'm going to make it to work, based on the things you've been seeing, then you tell yourself that this marriage will work. So I want to say that, well, I was privileged to marry to a very wonderful and lovely and caring husband. That is a privilege. And over the years too, I discovered that because we are not from the same background, there are some things that I will be doing that he does not like, and himself too. There are some things that I see in him that will be doing that I don't like.
Human nature.
Yes,
Because we're different.
Yes, because we are not from the same background, and definitely that ability to be able to endure is what really helped me. So especially when he's angry and you mellow down and you will allow just him to go through his anger. After that, you can come up and say, this thing that you are doing, I don't think I like it, or all of that. And also, as a pastor,
does that not make it even more difficult? The fact that you don't have a private life, it's almost like public.
Yes. That's actually when you accept to pastor, you must tell yourself that you are sacrificing your private life. Yes, you are living for the people. Yes.
Yeah. Mommy, you touched on something that I want to drill down on. You talked about the fact that there are times that there will be differences, and you can have two captains in the house. I think it was Dr. Miles Monroe that said, when we have two visions, it's called division, division. And when there is division, two visions in the house, it is division.
Yes.
And a lot of times in our relationship, I know we're talking about marriage, and there's so many people out there who are just in relationship planning or working towards marriage. Now, of course, we're humans. There are times when, in a certain direction, daddy thinks this is the direction the home has to go. You think, oh, this is best, How do we manage to come to that compromise? Of course, I understand that there's a sacrifice to be made to make the relationship work, but it's not always the case every day, every night, every evening. How did we manage it? How did you manage to take it when the votes did not go your way? Even when you're 100% convinced that your way is the right way.
But like what I would tell every woman out there, when your husband have a goal, or he has a vision, or he has something is arguing with you, and you know that maybe probably you are on the right side, and two of you table that issue, and even when you table it, you analyze it, you still feel that you are on the right side, but he is the leader. So what I do most times is to mellow down and don't allow my own will or my own way to go meanwhile. So most times, if he does what that is the goal that he has for the family or for the ministry, not necessarily at times for the ministry, and you allow it go, at times it goes well. So what I do, I now support. Then if it did not go well, I'll say, well, we should have done it this way, like what I said. It's okay. Maybe at another time, we will table another issue again. Then you say, okay, what do you think about this thing? Because he always at times seek my own view too. When he seek my view, I say, okay, this is what I feel that this thing it should be done, and all of that. At times also, we also succumb to my own view. So
technically, or let me put it this way, it's about partnership. And despite the fact that sometimes you have to play the supporting role, it doesn't mean that, daddy just takes over everything without actually seeking your view and opinion. Interesting. So let me turn to you. Over the years, now we know why you got married. We know certain challenges that have been faced, the differences. Over the years, you've had to cancel so many marriages. Of course, some of them have worked via cancelling. Some of them still born. You can't save it all. What is the most common thing you find in the marriages these days that leads to breakup and separation?
Okay, this takes us to Genesis of marriage. Well, I think that one of the things I have seen, especially these days, people marrying for wrong reasons. For instance, some people marry for money, especially in our setting where the economy is bad. If they find that the woman is he said, this is my wife. And
when the money stops flowing, the love stops flowing.
So it could be vice versa. That is what God helped me with. It's better to marry whom you love. Yes, your friend.
So someone who has made that mistake of marrying for the wrong reason, and of course they are in that marriage right now, and you're faced with a situation where you have to cancel them. How do we correct that part?
Yes.
Do we go backward and say, okay, break up and start again, or is there still a way forward in that?
There's a way forward. You seek conversation with your partner. It's this inability. Look, there are things that make marriage difficult. One is communication. One is sex. Another one is money. All these are critical areas.
Issues.
And this area, you hardly talk about them. That's the bad thing about it. You hardly talk about sex, especially in the open. You hardly talk about money.
And yet they are very important.
They are very, very important. And then your communication. I always advise young people to please tell somebody, like the prodigal son, please, I married you for a wrong reason. Forgive me. I want to start all over. You are the kind of person I want to die for. I want to live with my life. This is my weakness.
Interesting.
But I have known it, and I want to work to fix it.
So you can actually make that correction whilst in the marriage.
Yes. Why
you don't have to go out to correct it.
No, you don't have to go out. It's even best while you are still in it. If you talk senses, because again, it is the kind of person you are married to that determines how easy or how difficult. Yes, like somebody has said, he said, it is when you start dealing with this issue that you know whether you are married to a wife or to a knife. So if it's a wife, he will listen and say, I want to give you my best shot. I want to repair the things. I married you wanting to depend on you. I find that my role is to meet your need. And God giving me the grace, I will do it. You know, when you talk like this, talk senses, honestly. Talk with honestly. Then, because, you know, even I told you, one of the things that creates problem in marriages is what we call full disclosure. When people are coming into that into the relationship, they hide certain things. And that's why we say that if love is blind, then marriage is an eye opener. When you enter,
I like that one. If love is blind, marriage is an eye opener.
So when you enter, you begin to see well.
It opens your eyes.
So if somebody can be frank, be honest, and knowing that if there's any place to play integrity, it starts with your family. I tell you, no matter whom the person is, he will want to listen. And if you can listen to an honest conversation and say, okay, he may give you a chance, he may give you conditions, no matter what, accept it and start working at it. Once a woman finds that you respect her and that you want to do everything to please her, I think she will flow with you.
Interesting. We're talking about listening. Mommy, I'm going to send this one to you. I tend to say communication is not just saying your own part.
No.
It's saying your own part, listen to the other person,
That's
and then
right.
act on it.
Yes.
Now, so far during your counseling experience, and you, of course, you would have seen people who say, oh, we need to communicate more. And then you get to that point where you realize that the person who is actually canvassing and campaigning for communication is actually the one not communicating. How do you navigate those?
Well, when you talk of communication, you talk about effective communication. You might
Mommy has added one more
and
adjective
it's not effective. You might be talking and you are not passing any message. So there must be effective communication. The truth is that communication is very, very vital when it comes to marriage. And if the partner is yearning for communication, he or she must be ready to listen to the other person's view. Most times, people don't tend to listen to each other as the person is trying to pass and say, what are you saying? Even at times, even that communication might even lead to friction.
They talk at you,
yes,
not with you.
No, so it might even lead to friction. You will not be wondering, why did I even reveal it? Why did I even come? In fact, I should have just kept my information and decide not to even communicate at all. At times, people will just bottle up and say, let me just keep this thing. And because each time I want to communicate, it does not really help. But I feel that communication will help a long way, and it will help either the couple to be able to have effective marriage. Because if they communicate, you're able to know what is the thing that is annoying my partner. Because at times there are some partners, they will just buckle up. They will not, when they come to the house,
shut down completely.
They will say, I'm not eating the food. I'm not eating this food because I'm offended. Whereas the other partner did not even know why you are offended. But when you go down there and start telling the person, see, look at what you did and all of that, if that person, the other partner that is offended, is being told what he or she did, I believe that the person will want to take correction. But whereby the person refuses to take correction, it means that the person does not want peace in that.
Move forward.
Yes.
Interesting. Now, let me throw this one to you. You ask the other person and say, what is the problem? And they tell you nothing. Even when you know there is a problem. How do you deal with that, with all the challenges and pressure you have on you as a man to provide for the family, expectation and everything? I'm sure during your counseling process, you'd have seen, where you're asking, what is I can see there's a problem. I can see you carrying your face and the person saying nothing. How do you deal with that?
Well, please permit me to say this so that we don't miss it out. Before entering marriage, you must ask yourself certain questions. One of the things that helps to fix all these things, that's why I want to say it now before going into that, is that you must ask yourself, one of those things you must ask yourself is that which marriage am I going into? We have philosophical marriage. You're just talking ideal things, talking in love in utopia. So you must ask yourself, is that the marriage you are going into? Okay. You must ask, are you going into Muslim marriage, traditional marriage, so that if you offend me, you bring a cock to settle it, or kill the goat and all that, or Christian marriage. So in our own case, we told ourselves we are going into Christian marriage. So the Bible must be your reference point. And so anytime I have challenge, I fall to the Bible principle, because everything responds to principle. It's either you don't know it. If you know it and apply it, it must work. First, the Bible, God says in the Bible that He hates divorce. So I know that. And I know also by experience that no fish jumps out of water because of strong wave or waving. No matter. So you tell yourself from beginning that no matter what happens, which is what you sign for when you say for better, for worse, that you will stay put. Okay? And that is if the marriage foundation is right. Because if it's not right, then even if it breaks up, there's no offense. For instance, a woman has taken off her womb and cover it. If you discover it, if you don't have the grace to forgive,
But you've gone into it under the wrong premise.
Yes. So this is some of the things. That's the exceptions to all this breakup. It's not a breakup because he couldn't make it. It could be that
critical.
You were not mature. Maturity in marriage is not a function of age. It could be experience, it could be exposure, it could be knowledge. So if you have, and there's no mixture. If it's Christian marriage, the reason I don't have to run to anybody to come and counsel me how they used to do it, how to take care of I run to the scriptures. I run to the word of God and to say, what is God, how will Jesus handle this? He will forgive, he will help, he will serve even the disciples. So if I'm serving my wife, I don't feel guilt. Jesus served his disciples. He washed their feet. Okay? If I'm forgiving because Jesus also forgave. So this is the Christian. So all those kind of things. But when people don't have this is why we talk of maturity. If you have not grown to know that, because some people marry because they say I'm of age. If you don't marry now, it is too late. If you marry later than this, you will not have issues.
Go into it, you now understand what you're going into.
No, so that is not what marriage.
Interesting.
Yes.
So just to make sure you guys get this, first thing first is you need to understand why you are doing this. You need to understand what is your reference point.
Yes.
You know, and understand the sort of marriage you're walking into.
And I like that reference point you said, but there's also what we call reference point in marriage. If while you are getting married with your spouse, you show her or him a reference point. That is, have a reference, that you must have a family or a personality that both of you respect. Both of you respect. And that thing helps, because you cannot solve all your problems alone.
So you cannot isolate yourself and expect to succeed.
We call that also a reference point. There must be a reference point. There must be somebody that both of you respect. So reference point helps in marriage. It must be somebody, if it's the person that is also married, his own marriage must be working. So it must be somebody knowledgeable.
It's like going to an engineer, going to a doctor to train them in engineering. You're setting off to fail.
So that's how to. That's the.
So, Mommy, one for you then. If you were to give advice to the young girls today going into a relationship, who of course wants to get married, where do they start from in finding the right person? How do you know the right person? Before you then talk about how do you make the marriage work?
How do you know?
Because if we're honest, in the economy we live in today, there are so many economic factors like finance, survivor, that it's choking love and choking, you're thinking, okay, who's going to take care of me? I don't want to suffer. All of those, it could be noise, but they are real.
Well, I would say, knowing the right person, you must also be the right person. Start with yourself. Because some people want to say, I'm looking for a perfect being, but they themselves, they are not perfect. So you must ensure that yourself will fit in to be the right wife to a man. So for the woman, I want to say that you look at this person, is he my friend? Because that's when we talk about courtship or relating, because these days some people just jump into marriage without courtship, without knowing somebody. They just see a street girl, say I saw the girl on the Facebook, on Twitter, and whatever along the street. They say, yes, that is a wife material. How told you that is a wife material? I feel that before you can say this is the right person for me, there must be a kind of close relationship in terms of you knowing the person, maybe not up to his home or our home or whatever, but at least to an extent. So I feel that for you to know the right person, that person must be a friend to you, so that you must have known a little bit of the person. There are some people, while they are even in courtship, there's how the man used to react or even do funny things. Still, they will say, we'll still go into this relationship. Some, because they have been able to interact or relate with that person, say, no, this is not the right person for me. So as you relate and as you move with that person, you begin to know some of the attributes the person will exhibit. Because whatever somebody exhibits while you are in a courtship, there's no, he must exhibit a little of it or even the full of it when you are also married.
I don't know whether I can add.
Sure, yeah.
What she said, you asked the question, how do you know the right person?
Yeah.
Somebody's secret is in his story. So that's why we advocate that you don't just marry without spending some time. If it must be short, if the relationship before marriage must be short, let it be because you have known the person over the years. If they are Christians, they are worshiping in the same place. You are going out, you operate together in the youth. You know some of this character. Otherwise, if it's somebody that you met somewhere, or you just like one part of the character it displays, then you just like the person. You must spend some time. And how do you know? Like I said, that the secret of every man is in his story. You must list some questions, and that's why many marriages, or many courtship ends up in fornication or this thing, because they don't have anything serious they are doing. So when you meet like this, you admire yourself, before you know it, you take the person to bed. But if you come now and say, if we get married, let us assume that you have gotten to that point that the other one knows that you want marriage. Say, how many children will you go for? You begin to, from what the person says, you will know that you will want to born all the children in the world. Then, how do we handle our finances? The person will talk and you will talk. From what he's saying, if he say, no, my money is not for us, so it's the man that is, you know that person, assuming you are interested in joint account, you know that is out. Okay, then you bring different areas of life, recreation. You will not know whether it's a bush person or. So if you list all these questions, as you are asking the questions and you are discussing it, you will get to know, except you are a fool, you will get to know the
real person.
You know the
There's
truth.
There's an element to this with us human.
Yes.
A lot of people walk into relationship and marriages with I don't know if it's an arrogance or ignorance, but it's one of them that they will be able to change the other person.
Oh no,
no.
Because a lot of people
they
see all of these signs.
I agree with you.
They see these signs and they ignore it.
Yes. You can't change anybody.
At all.
In fact, it will be worse.
It will be worse when you go in. Yes.
That is what we have experienced.
Yes.
So whatever you know you absolutely cannot tolerate,
why the don't even go in. Yes.
But what we must accept or agree with here is that the person cannot be perfect even from the beginning.
Yes.